What is up, you guys? My name is Roman, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And today I'm going to be watching and reacting to a brutally honest discussion about the future of Doctor Who by Who Culture. Now, just the other day, I was I was watching this like this other video by Who Culture about what a reboot should and should not do. And at the very end of it, Ellie, the narrator of that video, or the presenter or whatever, said that she and Sean, another presenter on it, did a discussion video on Doctor Who's future, and I think this is the video that she was talking about. So we're gonna react to this. Also, this is it, and this is like 41 minutes long, so this is a pretty long video. So we're just gonna dive right into it, and be sure to subscribe to Who Culture. And without a delay, let's lock in.
Everybody, Ellie. Hello, everybody. Ellie and Sean here for Who Culture. We're basically here to just have a bit of a catch up, really. Things have been happening in the world of Doctor Who. Sean's not been around for a little while, so we basically just thought we'd see where we're at. So, how are you doing, Sean?
I'm very good, thank you very much. It's lovely to see it. Lovely to be back here again because I miss Doctor Who. Yeah, I kind of vanished for like weeks at a time, and then I'm back,
Yeah, me too. I do miss Doctor Who.
and I'm like, woohoo!
I guess to kick us off, let's just look at the overall state of the show at the moment, the overall situation we're in, and just touch base on how you're feeling about all that. I mean, it's been over a month now since that cancellation announcement, which came on
That
the
is
10th
not
of
only a
June.
month, is it?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It feels like it was both yesterday and ages ago.
Feels like 3 years ago at this stage.
It's odd. I think maybe because
Yeah, I agree with Ellie on that mostly. It has been it feels like it's ages ago, and then sometimes it feels like it's yesterday.
we kind of knew, well, we didn't know the Christmas special was cancelled, but we've kind of been in this limbo state since the end of season 2. That it kind of just feels like nothing's really changed. I mean, yeah, the Christmas special got cancelled, which has its issues.
Or never existed, depending on what.
Yeah, depends who you ask.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you just, at this point, it just feels like the norm to be sat in this weird limbo state of not really knowing the future of Doctor Who.
I think it's very like what the people must have felt like in 1989 and 1990 and 1991 and so on and so on. And you know, if things like online forums existed then, in the manner that they do now, like, would it be quite similar? You know, going through every single thing that showrunners do and didn't say. You know, obviously fan groups existed and letters existed and fanzines existed. So there is probably an awful lot of similarity there. Like, I feel the general sort of air at the moment is one of almost resignation, that we are now facing. I know it's different, but that we are now facing something like the 90s, you know? So, which means, Paul McGann, you dust off that outfit now. But, you know, and
Good one.
there's obviously different things, but it's
Good punch.
it's the lack of news. Here's something that, right, I've seen in so many different areas of entertainment at the moment. It's the lack of news. So it's not that people are saying show's dead, someone's not coming back, sets are sold off. It's not that. It's the silence. And that's the thing that is both infuriating and also kind of constant, because the whole point of silence is that you don't get an update. It's just more silence. And that's what we're getting. So Russell, with, you know, his post going, there never was a script. At least that was something. Do you know what I mean? Like at least it wasn't silence. We know now what not to expect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what it kind of was before this announcement. We heard there was going to be a Christmas special and then silence. And then it got longer and longer and everyone was going, what's going on here? We should have heard something. And that started kind of, alarm bells started to be ringing there. Then obviously we were like, come on, we just need some sort of update here.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Then for the update to come and it not really be quite what we were expecting. But, you know, there was... I think the thing is with that announcement is there were two sides to it. There was the cancellation of the Christmas special, which obviously was disappointing, but kind of made sense then when you heard the second part of that, which was, but that means we can put the show out to tender sooner. It means we can get the ball rolling on the future of the show rather than just the kind of the current situation. So I think, you know, there was that disappointment. Obviously, then the added layer of feeling like you've kind of been gaslit into believing something.
Yes.
Or gaslit into believing that something wasn't coming when you were led to believe it was coming. And that whole side of it was kind of not great. But now that that's kind of settled, we're now back at this point where it's silence again, as you say. And it's just more of, okay, so now what?
So now I think, I mean, like, I know, because since that, I watched the great Tia Coffey, who I love, sitting down with Stephen Moffat and talking about, like, obviously all of Stephen's era, but then directly said, how do you feel about, I don't know, Stephen has mentioned a couple of times about what tender means and how to take heart from that is a very positive thing that it's going out for tender, which is good because, I mean, in many ways, like, we're sort of learning in real time with many other people who are not directly involved in the industry. You know, before any of this, it's going out to tender. I'm like, does that mean they're selling it wholesale? You know, does another company then own Doctor Who? And now we know that that's not the case. BBC will be retaining the ownership. I think the one that I was not, I was like, oh, okay, is BBC putting their name or putting their hat in the ring in this tender process? Because I think because they are retaining all of the ownership, I just assumed that if they wanted to, they could just make it in-house. But that now seems to not be the case, that it's not as straightforward as that, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. I think the thing that's been getting me is obviously, I cannot stress this enough. I've been saying this until I'm blue in the face, that this doesn't mean that Doctor Who is cancelled. The Christmas special is cancelled.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who has not been cancelled. And the fact that...
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, people are always like, I've seen channels like, well, I've seen other YouTubers who I don't even watch, but I've just people like Nerdrotic or other channels like that, which are horrible, by the way, but they, for reasons I won't get into, but basically they say things like they said, like, I guess I came back to it and I saw a bit of like I've seen lots of channels where they just like, well, we just got news that Doctor Who is canceled. Like, no, that doesn't mean the whole show is canceled. Just because it's canceled doesn't mean the whole show is canceled. It's just the upcoming special for Christmas that got canceled. That's it.
That they've put it out to tender highlights the fact that it's not been cancelled, and they have no desire to cancel it because they
put it out to tender.
Could have just as easily pulled the plug and said, that's it, no more Doctor Who. The fact that they've put it out to tender, the fact that they're actively looking for more people to make it, just tells you all you need to know about their plans for the future of the show. And if they wanted to just completely blitz it and cut it and be done with it, they had that option.
100%.
They could have made that decision, but they haven't. And there's been so many people saying that, you know, oh, you're just naive, you're just being optimistic for the sake of it, you know, you're not looking at the fact. The facts are, they could have easily cancelled it, and they didn't. So,
and also to that point of naivety, well, I think you're coming from a place of experience. I mean, I guess like, some of us were alive while Doctor Who was on before. Not for long, to be fair, but I was there, but not for long. Whereas, like, we came into Doctor Who in its revival from a hiatus, not a cancellation. This is literally a franchise that has gone for long periods of time where it's gone quiet. You know, like we had, you know, like obviously there's the big one, which is between Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann and then between Paul McGann and Christopher Eccleston. But even there was a large-ish gap, not as long, but a large-ish gap in Colin Baker's 2 seasons. And because there was
is that true?
So much going on at BBC, which I'm sure at the time was probably infuriating because you're probably getting no news. You know, it was like, you know, you come back every Saturday and be like, I'm fairly certain Doctor Who was supposed to be on, and it's been a year. So like, this is a franchise that has gone through quiet periods several times in its lifetime. And so like that's one of the things where I just be like, yeah, this is a blip. And I do think we're looking at, I saw you post the other day that you reckon 2028, 2029. That's sort of the number I have in my head as well. I don't think it will go as far as 2030, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's what I think it should too. The earliest we can see it is 2028. 2027 or 2028, but 2030, that's like 5 year gap.
Easy to say that we're now over the halfway mark of 2026, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will go that far. Like, we'll at least get a special or something before then. But also, and like, this is the thing where maybe we get called, okay, right, now you're not just glass half full, now you're just inhaling large quantities of happy juice, is when don't rush something out.
It's ironic how he said inhaling quarts of happy juice or something like that, because sort of like drinking, because I was just in the middle of taking a sip of my chocolate milk. That's funny. Little joke for myself there.
Out for the sake of rushing something out.
This break is necessary. I really do think we need this. And, you know, I'm not afraid.
I guess so. I mean, do we?
To say there were issues. There were issues with this last era of the show. And it does kind of scream a little bit.
I guess that's true. Screw it. That's true.
Of rushing things, just not really taking the time, not really focusing on the right things in terms of storytelling versus how do we spend this great budget, or what are the focuses, what should we be focusing on in terms of the story and the characters. Like, I really think they need this time to make a clean break and really review what this show was, what its strengths have always been, and come in with fresh eyes, a fresh perspective. And, you know, at this point, I'm just going to say it, a lack of ego, because I think there was an ego in this era that hindered a little bit of what the show had the potential to be, or what it used to be.
I feel like that's fair, you know, and obviously in your
me too,
ups and downs in previous chats that we've had as well, we've gone into some of our reasons why. And you know, we've spoken about the over-reliance on fan service. We've spoken about the I don't know if I phrased it this way as well, but the assumptions on the audience. Like, bringing back Sutekh, that was a swing. But
yeah, it was. But
what was the warning for the new audience? Oh, here, go on iPlayer and watch Pyramids of Mars on Thursday. Do you know what I mean? Which in my opinion, I look back on that season and go, you didn't build up Sutekh. Like,
or Tubi if you're in the US. Go on Tubi.
It was just like, aha. Okay. I mean, amazing to hear the voice back and everything, like, fantastic. But, you know, and then you had similar with Omega, you know, and even I have seen, you know, earlier Omega stories. But even I had to be like, hang on, let me just do a quick little Google here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. And I say even I, yes, I am the receptacle of knowledge. I'm not. Like, but there's this assumption that, like, I will toss something in from the past, whereas the Toymaker, I think that was handled really well.
Yeah.
Same here, bro. Same here.
I thought that was, no, you can, like, that was a great way of doing it. Right. That was really interesting. There was just enough context to be like, okay, we've experienced the Toymaker before, without sort of without it kind of like falling to pieces.
Without the characters having to sit and actually watch the episode in the episode to get the context.
Exactly. It's like, oh my goodness, great. Now we'll just watch these 4 episodes. And even before, I now remember, do you remember before part 1 of that 2-parter aired, Russell said, here's the 4 episodes you should watch before Saturday.
Yeah,
and one of them was a John Pertwee story, because I think the time window was in that story.
Yeah.
And look, it wasn't a command. It was just like, this is where.
What was this? I don't remember this.
It needs
That's
to be
not, yeah.
better marrying, which, and like we said before, one of the reasons we were so excited for a new Russell era is that those first 4 seasons, 2005 till 2009, were
2010. Because End of Time Part 2 aired on January 1st, 2010.
Like, they were so good. I thought they married classic and new so well.
Yeah. This is where my confusion is. Like, it baffles me that these 2 eras were majority created by the same team of people, and yet they could not be more different. And it just blows my mind. I just can't get my head around how that happens. How they can be so different, and one can be so successful and be fan favorite, and it just couldn't be replicated in the same way. It just confuses me.
I feel like, and this is I'm being very careful with my words. This is a me feeling. I feel like the hearts weren't in it this time.
And this is what I mean when I say there was ego. I think the first time around there was maybe something to prove, maybe a desire to create something really unique and different or whatever. This time around, I feel like there was an air of, I'm already great, and you know it because that's why you've asked me to come back. And so I can basically do whatever I want, and I'm untouchable, and everything I create is wonderful and amazing, and it's the best thing ever written. And if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong.
Might be a bit harsh, but I know where you're coming from. I do, like, you could almost be like, well, yeah, there is evidence to prove that statement, that, like, there is fantastic work, that era of Doctor Who, and then other things like It's a Sin, Years and Years. These are fantastic shows made by very competent people. And then you get this era of Who where I feel like a lot of the emotion was more, you were being told what to feel. And even, like, obviously I'm heavily reading between lines here, but it feels like when Ncuti Gatwa was hosting SNL, he kind of alluded to that. I don't know why I cried all the time either. And
yeah, that's right. I did see a clip of that off camera, and I totally remember that.
Which is a shame, because I don't know. I don't think, for all of the guff that Chibbers era gets,
Chibbers, that's what we're calling him.
think this era is going to age a little bit worse, which does everyone who's on screen a disservice.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was also an era,
I agree too,
of kind of laziness in terms of, like, questions being questions about episodes, and then in an interview in a magazine going, in my mind, this is why that was. Why do we have to get the answers to those questions in a magazine interview rather than in the episode itself?
Like wait and see. Which I am, we sometimes joke, like, in our jobs, we tend to review. We don't react per se, but we review sometimes in the short term. And so we don't see the big picture. We see the threads, we don't see the tapestry. And sometimes I know I've done this on my videos where I will, like, criticize something and then, oh, hang on, it pays off 5 episodes later.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I don't feel. Okay, let's talk about Mrs. Flood. Who were the 4 people that ended up being played by Anita Dobson? Do you, I see where we got to in the end ish.
It felt very much like a different character in season 1 compared to season 2.
That's because I would argue it is.
Yeah.
I would very much argue it is like
it screamed of making it up as you go along.
A little bit. It's like, it's the Lost approach to screenwriting.
Yeah.
It's like, if we just throw in those questions.
I also feel like that's where from there is criticism of Stephen Moffat as a showrunner, but you can't deny that as a writer, he plans ahead. He knows the overall plan of where something's going to go across several series. Like, all of those things are laid out. And
several seasons, you mean? But whatever, you're British. I'm American.
He knows exactly what direction.
But I'm American, and I prefer to say season over series, because to me, series means the entire show.
And something's going to go in. I couldn't imagine him making something up as it went along and just letting it unfold. Like, he's got an idea.
Do you know what? And actually, to agree with that, I think his, to use these language, worst arc was the Impossible Girl, right? But it was because it was thin. And he has spoken about how he was burnt out.
It was what? Thin? Sorry, guys. I didn't understand a little bit of it. Maybe subtitles will help.
It was thin. And
yeah, the subtitle says thin. That's what I thought it was, so okay.
He has spoken about how he was burnt out that year. He was doing the 50th. It just didn't really go anywhere. Okay. But Clara, I still think that once Clara and 12 teamed up, that was a better pairing. I think maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
We'd done the Impossible Girl thing. It didn't really land, but it was still good. Like, I still like the Name of the Doctor. I still really like that as an episode. Is it a bit of a rapid fire, like sort of almost Hand of God finish? Yes, it is a little bit, because they were trying to set up the 50th. But I still had fun. Like the surprise of Clara in Asylum of the Daleks. I was like, oh, okay, that was good. Or Oswin, because it wasn't Clara. And like the Snowmen as well. I enjoyed these things, and that's my critique of that, is that it was just a bit thin. Whereas obviously, I'm just going to trigger you really quickly, River Song was so well plotted, and continues to be.
And the Silence as a whole, the way that those two storylines kind of seemingly, they started completely unrelated, and then they kind of slowly merged together, and it all became like tangled into this really complex storyline. But it never at any point felt like they had just changed direction randomly halfway through. Yes. It all made sense and unraveled in the end, and had a start point and an end point, and just got a little bit kind of all tangled up in the middle, and it was intriguing and interesting. Whereas Mrs. Flood, I just feel like they got halfway through season 1 and went, actually, you know what? I think we'll make her the Rani.
Because like that scene in Empire, or not Empire.
Yeah, I want to know, was it always the plan to make Mrs. Flood the Rani? Or did they just, I don't know, man. That's weird.
Death, the one before it, the Legend of Ruby.
Legend of Ruby Sunday.
And the whole, like, well, we all want things that we're not going to get. That's genuinely creepy. Like, Anita sells that. And then, okay, so the Sutekh thing wasn't part of her plan. That's really interesting. And then she's dressed up as Romana, and she's breaking the fourth wall. Like, it's like you say, she very rapidly became the Rani after that.
Yeah.
And I think we went away, we had our summer holidays, we came back and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Fine. I know things have changed directions in years gone by, for whatever reasons, and that's fine, but it was just so like, this is a different character.
And it kind of comes down to that laziness again. You got 2 seasons with 8 episodes. In season 1, you have this mystery of why Susan Twist keeps appearing in every episode. Who is this mystery woman that keeps appearing in every episode? Season 2, Mrs. Flood or Anita Dobson appearing in every episode. Who is this mystery woman that keeps appearing in every episode? It's like, it just feels lazy. It's like, come on, you've got to make these things different and interesting, and you're just rehashing the same things.
And I feel
that true. Like Doctor Who has always done the thing where they tease something throughout, at least in modern Who, they do it where they they tease something throughout the entire season, or someone keeps mentioning this one thing, or something keeps appearing in each episode, and it's leading into the finale, but it's all different things. Like here it feels the same, where, Mrs. Flood and Mrs. Flood and Susan parallels, Yeah, just stuff like that.
Works again.
I feel it's the Saxon posters kind of on speed, or the I think the Torchwood one was a little more overt, or maybe it's Bad Wolf I'm thinking of. Like he's right. In fairness, he did this in previous ones and it's worked. Whereas this one, maybe because it's a character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
With dialogue, maybe it's just much more in your face.
That's what I'm saying, kind of. Yeah.
So it was like all the Saxon posters. Like now you go back and you watch season 3 and okay, Saxons everywhere, but it was sort of subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, it was subtle. This wasn't very much in your face. Like this was flashing red lights. Yeah. Yeah, it was subtle. This wasn't very much in your face. Like
dangerously close.
Flashing red lights going, hey, this is important. You need to be paying attention to this.
I agree. Like I know we're veering dangerously close to here's how I would have done it. But I feel so my again, I'm all about the I feel statements. Part of my frustration and my disappointment with this era is I think you said it there. I've watched these people do it better.
Yeah. I am excited by the prospect of it being completely taken into new hands. Fresh perspective, fresh eyes.
Yeah, that's what that other video is kind of about.
Ideally, somebody who's not been connected to the show in the past, and seeing what somebody with a completely new vision can do with it, with kind of, just a complete fresh take. So although it is, disappointing that the Christmas special got cancelled, I think in the long run, based on what some people have been saying from the BBC and different things, the fact that I would rather not have the Christmas special and take away a rushed episode that no one really had their heart in, that they were just making for the sake of it to try and, save face. And I think it actually says a lot that they would actually take that hit and make themselves look bad and cancel the special rather than give us some half-assed mediocre episode that no one really wanted to make. And in doing so, put all of their effort into the future of the show and the longevity of the show. And so for that, I am optimistic about what the future will bring and who they're going to bring in and what the show is going to look like in the future. And, and when you look at the bosses at the BBC and some of the statements that they have been making with regards to Doctor Who, with regards to this tender process, you can't help but just feel like they have confidence in the future of it. I mean, I've got 2 quotes here. So this one says, "We've been the producer for 60 years and we want to be the producer for another 60 years. So we will be going for that tender with gusto. We are in it to win it." And that was from the BBC Studio CEO, Tom Fussell. And then also the BBC Director General, Matt Britton, said, "Doctor Who is a show that has regenerated multiple times in its 60-plus year history and will do so again." Like, nothing about these quotes from the high-ups at the BBC tells me anything other than they are committed to making more Doctor Who and they are passionate about the future of the show.
I agree. Like, we've been blessed in a way that from 2005 we've more or less had Doctor into Doctor into Doctor into Doctor, and then obviously before that we didn't. We had, well, depending on how you view the Colin Baker regeneration, you had everyone up to Paul McGann, and then you had this gap. Or you didn't see the regeneration. I would love to see, we'll go away, we'll have a think, because obviously then the bean counters will sit in the room and they'll be like, that's a really nice idea that you will now have and put in the bin because it cost too much money. Like that will be a part of things. But it's a show that has gotten very complicated, but you can almost, look at what Flux did. Flux got rid of half the universe, basically. Like, you can scooch things up again, make it a bit of a smaller scale. It was getting a bit big. Make it a bit smaller scale.
2005 for me is peak Doctor Who because it's not big and glamorous. It's a council estate in London, and it's real people with real lives and real stories. And that was when it was at its best. You know, when you look at Rose, when you look at Martha, you look at Donna, they are relatable, real characters.
Yeah, exactly. I totally see myself in all those characters.
And then it kind of got a little bit, I mean, I love the Matt Smith era, but it kind of went into that kind of fairy tale, fantastical
That's
vibe.
A perfect description. It's definitely a fairy tale. Yeah.
Which is great. And it was enjoyable and it was different. But then it gets to a point where it stops feeling relatable. And that's, I think, one of the things that's so engaging about Doctor Who then was that the companion was like the audience's eyes into this world, and they could relate to that character. And it's lost that now, you know, especially with the Disney era, this big budget. It's not what it used to be. And it shouldn't, I don't think it needs to be anything other than what it always has been.
It's like the 50th was special because it was a big event.
Yeah,
but when every week is a big event.
Yeah, when it becomes a big, from then onwards, it kind of became this every week has to be a big event. To the point where it was like, I don't want these. If you keep giving a spectacle every week, it stops being special.
That's it. Yeah.
We're now at a point where the tables have turned entirely, and when you
totally
have an episode where you just have people in a room talking, it becomes the most unpopular episode of the series because it's the only thing that's different.
And we've talked about this as well. The story in the engine. I personally would have taken out the giant spider.
Yeah.
I think you didn't need it. Everything was so good. It was so tense. That's funny because I've seen...
I wouldn't really say so. I actually enjoyed the giant spider. Well, maybe... Actually, in second thought, maybe it wouldn't work, but I wouldn't say take it all together, because that's the whole point. It's like the heart of it is Anansi, which is the spider god.
I've seen some mixed reactions to that one online. I think it's probably up there as one of the best episodes of this era of Doctor Who, because I cared about the characters.
Yeah, my personal favorite of Ncuti's era was Lux. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I think Boom is similarly, for different reasons. I think the characters, I think the idea, I think for both of them, the idea of just being in one place. We don't need to be jumping around to all these places. It was one location and it was people talking. You know, for Boom, the Doctor spends the majority of the episode stood in one place. It's very static.
And fair play Ncuti Gatwa as well.
Yeah.
And fair play, and sorry, Millie Gibson. But like, yes, like, because you need to be able to pull it off. And they did, proving they can.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think fresh eyes, fresh perspective. The BBC seem very keen to maintain that, to keep the show going. You know, the thing is, it's been commented on multiple times in discussions with BBC bosses. Similarly to if they wanted to cancel the show, they wouldn't have put it out to tender. They would have just cancelled it. If they weren't committed to the show and weren't really passionate about it, they wouldn't bring it up in these discussions. They wouldn't. Yeah, they just wouldn't talk about it at all. The fact that they are bringing it up and talking about it and with so much enthusiasm just tells me that they're keen to make more of it. Again, I'm not being crazy naive and overly optimistic. I'm just going off of what they're saying, which is the fact that they're saying anything at all tells me that they're committed to it. And I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see when that will kind of get into motion. I mean, you did touch on this earlier. My guess would be lots of conversations and plans happening across 2027. And then maybe pre-production and, you know, casting and all that stuff, maybe kind of mid to late 2027. And then I wouldn't be surprised if we had more episodes in 2028, even if it's just like 3 special.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
Or something.
I'm going to be a teensy bit more conservative here. I think Christmas 2028.
Yeah.
That's when you think it should return? Because if so, that's great.
And I'd love them to, you know, try guess because 2028 is this. I don't think they'll do anything for it, but that's the 65th anniversary, isn't it?
Maths is not my strong suit, but let's say yes.
Yeah, 19.
Same here. Yeah. I think, yeah, it is. Or wait, no. Or yeah, because 1963. So like if you go by threes, then 5 years later, 2023. 5 years later, 2028. So yeah, that's the 65th anniversary there.
1963. 3 plus 5 is 8. Yeah. So, okay, so 60. Now,
yeah,
60. I don't think they're going to do something for 65, but you could, is what I'm saying, is you could kind of do a bit of a, let's make that a bit of a marketing push, because I suppose on the one hand, they did and they didn't do something for the 60th. Like they did in that they had those 3 episodes. They had David Tennant, they had Catherine Tate. So they did mark it, but it wasn't an anniversary special in the way that the 50th or the 25th or even the 10th had been before. The 10th is the 3 Doctors, isn't it? 1970?
Yes, it is.
3? I'm going to say yes. I might be wrong, but
yes, of course it is. It came out in 1973. It was well, actually, I think it came out in 1972, but it was meant to be the 10th anniversary of Doctor Who. So it had 3. Yeah, of course it was.
Whereas previous anniversary specials have been anniversary specials. Like if I know we've talked several times about, do a Paul McGann story, which I would watch the heck out of. But something like that in front of The Power of the Doctor, everyone but Tom Baker from the classic area was in it,
or Patrick Troughton.
But that's what I mean. Like when we go back to this idea of every episode felt like a special. Obviously, that was the centenary special for the BBC. But
that was a big for
that kind of idea that every episode is like this big spectacle now.
And that is fair. Like I'd be thinking I would do that if it was an anniversary special. Even if it was next year, because apparently I'm one of those people that I like things in 0s and 5s. So 64, I can't do that. But even if it was next year, I wouldn't go that route. I wouldn't do it. Let's have Peter Davison or something like that. I would be like,
I want clean slate, fresh start. And I honestly don't mind if it takes a little bit longer, as long as we don't rush into something for the sake of it. Take your time with it. You've been given this time to do something different with it. So if I have to wait until 2028, 2029, as long as I know it's coming and I know to expect something new and fresh and a new revival of the show, then that's fine. I would rather wait for it than them rush into something just to get it out sooner.
Same here. I totally would.
Do you know what I'd like? Specifically about the TARDIS. Shrink it down.
Yes.
Give us something a bit closer to the memory TARDIS. Maybe not that small, but give us something a bit closer. Make it busy looking again. Make it look like a traveler lives in there.
Do you know what? When I did the ups and downs, the retro ups and downs for the TV movie, I spoke about how I liked the console room design. I maybe took a little bit of issue when they had like a whole chamber that looked like it was in some sort of church, or a church courtyard. But the console room looked lived in. It had that little kind of living room area where the Doctor.
I love the 8th Doctor's console room. It was pretty cool.
He was sat having his cup of tea. And I really liked that. I think this new TARDIS design, it feels really big and empty and clinical. Yeah, it's just, I like it when it feels more lived in. I think one of my favorites is Matt Smith's first TARDIS. That felt
same here.
That one really grew on me. Because I was like many people, the 11th hour, I was still grieving David Tennant, and I was grieving the coral and everything. So it's really, really grown on me, because Matt Smith's second control room I didn't really like, but I do like it when it goes to 12. And just simple thing, bookshelves, because then it starts to look a bit more
But also, I think, did they kind of alter the colouring a little bit? I don't like it when it feels cold. And I feel like when it went to the second one, it had those kind of like cold, greeny blue lights, and it was very dark.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like, David Tennant's one, but also the first Matt Smith one. It felt warm and like a welcoming place.
Matt Smith's first one is a sweet shop.
Yeah, I would love to just go and press all the buttons and all the gadgets. And
Me too.
But yeah, like it's shrink it back down again. Like you can still be the TARDIS. It's still bigger on the inside. Like you don't lose that by making the physical room a bit smaller.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think make it warmer. Because I mean the room, it looked fabulous. I mean, it's not the design that I don't like. It was just too big. And they make a joke about it at some point. It was like, bloody hell. You know, maybe it was when Jodie appeared, which I love. I thought that was lovely as well. Just yeah, having the Doctor play against the Doctor is I mean, I always think that's fun anyway. But
I mean, Jodie's is my least favorite TARDIS, but I understand if other people like it.
At the risk of okay, we're about 9 hours into this. So my prediction, late 2028 is when we'll see something. But I think we'll the nature of entertainment, we'll hear something next year.
Well, the other thing that we do need to remember is that all hope is not entirely lost, because I do think
CBBS.
I think we all keep forgetting. I will put my hand up and say the same thing, and I'm sure you have done as well. There is new Doctor Who content coming, presumably next year, because we do have the CBBS show, whatever that turns out to be.
But does that really count as proper Doctor Who content? I mean, it is official, but like, are y'all seriously gonna watch that? Because that's just like, I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's just for preschoolers, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
You know, there will be 52 episodes split into 2 seasons at 26 episodes each, and they will be 11 minutes long. I think the thing about that, and probably the reason why I've definitely not really been thinking much about it, is CBBS, we're clearly not the target audience for it.
Speak for yourself.
I think the issue, not the issue with that, but the question about that is, yes, we do technically have more coming in the world of Doctor Who, in the Whoniverse, in the near future. Does it really fill that void, though, when it's really, really not aimed at the majority of the audience that exists at the moment for Doctor Who?
Well, let me answer your question with a question. What did you think of Star Trek Scouts?
I watched 1 episode and then I gave up on it because it was made for babies, and I draw the line at, you know, some kids shows are great. Star Trek Prodigy, made for a younger audience, also suitable for an adult audience.
Yeah.
But CBBS is like
specific.
It's specifically for young children, for toddlers. And so I'm intrigued by it, and I will definitely...
That's right, that's what I'm saying.
...want to check it out and see what they do with it and how they approach it. But in terms of, will it satisfy me in terms of giving me Doctor Who content? Will it scratch that itch? I'm not sure that it will.
I think you and I might have to lean on Big Finish for that in the short term. I'm delighted. I'm delighted that there is TV content coming out, because I mean, for goodness, I hate to say it, but by the time Who returns in the way that we're used to it, the kids who are watching the CBBS show might then be like, oh, I want to watch Doctor Who.
Which I guess is kind of a good plan in a way. I mean, it's good to have something. The young audience, the very young audience, is not something that's ever really been catered for in the world of Doctor Who. We had the Sarah Jane Adventures, but that was for older kids. Like, that's the kind of thing where I'd say a kids show that I would be intrigued by and I would watch. I loved that show growing up. I would watch that tomorrow and enjoy it just as much, regardless of whether it was for CBBC. Whereas this, I'm not so sure it's quite...
Would you watch a unit show that was like the Sarah Jane Adventures?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, like, I know...
Maybe.
It ended up being The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is its own thing, and I know there's still people who haven't seen that, so I'm not going to go into too many details. I think...
Yeah, and I'm one of those people, so thank you. Appreciate it.
I think great start, but maybe too adult in places. Like, half the fun of The Power of the Doctor again was Kate, Ace, and Tegan running around unit headquarters, being a nuisance to the Cybermen, you know, and the Daleks. But I think that's the kind of tone that...
And the Daleks. The subtitle said Alex. That's funny.
Suits a little bit more Sarah Jane Adventures better than, say... Like, I wouldn't have any
it just doesn't quite have that same appeal that I think it used to have.
I think maybe CBeebies and then kind of build from there might be the way to go. You know, you have, I think it's fair to say a lot of the older generation struggled with this recent era because of all sorts of things we don't need to get into here. And then there's the generation who grew up with Eccleston, Tennant, Matt Smith, might have been just a bit more open to it in general. You know, it's a bit more recent in their memory. But then even down, then you have a generation who just they didn't have it, or you know, they didn't watch it for whatever reason. Because I think starting with the end of Matt Smith, going into Peter Capaldi, and definitely going into Jodie, it was aimed at adults.
Yeah, it definitely got more complex, more, you know, complicated. I mean, I will say, a friend of mine has 2 young daughters, and his young girl was watching Doctor Who with the new era, and she loved it. She was really into it. The other one, the slightly older one, was too scared of it, bless her.
Okay.
But the younger one, really, really into it, and he introduced her to those ones, and then he's now just starting to introduce her to some of the older ones and kind of trying to get her to grasp the concept of regeneration, and there's different versions. But she's only like, I don't know how old she is, 3, 4. So like, she's very young. So maybe this CBeebies would be a really good kind of jumping on point, or, you know, and I think that is a good idea. Get them into it young, and then they can develop, and there's a whole world of Doctor Who that they can watch. And like you say, it might just time perfectly that by the time the series comes back, they've grown up a bit and are ready to watch. I think if nothing else, it definitely again reiterates this idea that the BBC are committed to the Doctor Who IP, the brand, because they're still committed to the CBeebies show. They clearly want to make more of the show itself, and they're doing their best to make sure it thrives, it grows, it branches out. All positive things.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Like, it's quiet, but it ain't dead.
Exactly. All right, you guys. I think I'm gonna stop it here, just because, and I did have to cut it. I did decide to cut it down because I don't know. I just want to. I'm getting tired, and I kind of want to go to bed now, and I want to keep this video under 50 minutes. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, possibly share it with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye-bye.